This is the big one. The one that, well, some of us have been waiting for. I've certainly been waiting for it. How about you, bud?
I mean,
so Dignitas versus Obey should be very exciting.
Okay.
I'm really amped up for it. How about you?
Oh, you're actually gonna you're gonna talk to me this time.
I asked you. I said, "Are you excited for this one?"
I'm very excited.
Obey have really struggled to find anything but wins this season. So,
how much longer do I have to be here? This guy.
How do you feel about Dignitas?
Dignitas is a good team. The end. That's all I got. I got it in there, and that's all that matters.
Obey and Dig are two of the heaviest hitters that we have in Europe, which has been the dominant kind of region all over. So kind of the best really bringing it to us.
I mean, Dignitas, they took that Masters Land loss to this Obey squad and really studied that film. You can tell that they came out of the gates very strong here during the summer split, and they're already locked up for that top seed coming out of Europe for DreamHack Valencia. It's just a matter of where Obey is going to be seeding-wise in relation to energy.
That's really the key here. Obviously, we want to see the good competition. That's what we're going to get. Everybody really fighting for those seedings. It's interesting. To the fans at home, I don't think they understand just how, well, I mean, I guess that's being rude to the fans at home, but the players and the teams, seeding it's not just about getting to land. It's about how you're going to be seeded at land to see who you're up against.
Oh, I mean, for sure. You see it all the time. Twitter blows up whenever the brackets are released, and players are like, man, we got to go through energy and dignity, you know, you got to
always unfair.
Yeah, exactly. Every team gets hosed by the brackets every time. So you want to make sure that you get your easiest bracket possible. Obviously, top seed's where you want to be, but if Obey can secure the second seed, ensure that they won't be playing energy, or excuse me, in Dignitas until the finals, that'd be pretty nice.
Would be very nice for them and their fans. Let's take a look in picks and bans how this one's going to go. That was unintentional. It's just how it works.
You're just that good, huh?
Just that good. Terra going to be the first ban here. Less meta. Terra used to be banned basically every game, but then we saw the Death Toll characters come online, and it was Bellona and Osiris, and now, even though those two have taken a step back, Ryan, we still see those banned almost every time. Terra, she sticks her ugly head up here. Why is Dig banning her?
I think it's just one of those positions where Dignitas is in that first pick place, and they don't want to first pick that for Trixtank necessarily, and EmilZy plays it pretty well as well, just basically saying, we don't really want to deal with this, and it's good enough to ban, but not, you know, something that we want to first pick necessarily.
I think you hit the nail on the head there, talking about EmilZy specifically, really strong on this Terra. Kronos and Soul banned out. Not odd to see those two characters banned out when you put it into context. Dignitas love those characters. The Morrigan first pick.
Yeah, Zyrhoes, how well it can do against the Morrigan, and even they could have used it for their own gain. There was Zyrhoes decided against it just because of how potent Twig is on it. But I love this Nemesis pick because you're mentioning Obey's worried about what they're going to give to the Morrigan. How about Dignitas having 2 Nemesis ults?
Yeah, that's going to be troublesome, especially if one of them decide to pick up, I don't know, Sunder. That might be even more rough. But what it comes down to is that you see Osiris, Bellona, and the Cernunnos is the impactful ultimate, but everybody else, Obey Alliance, have selected, I guess Thoth is half and half. Osiris ult, Bellona ult, they can't, it's not this game-changing situation like a Circat.
Sure, Bellona ult is very, very strong. I think probably the
50
most
protections or so.
underutilized or underappreciated part of Bellona's kit. A big reason why she's so powerful is because of that ultimate. The AoE stun, the damage, the physical protection. Don't be surprised if you see Zyrhoes using that fairly often in the early game.
What it comes down to is I always think about Hun Bat's ult.
Yeah.
Right? And we don't see Hun Bat's ult on the side of Obey, and I think that's what selecting Morrigan first really does, is it sort of puts you in this position. With that said, Obey get away with a nice draft themselves. Dual lane strong of Cernunnos and Sobek. You're not sold on the draft.
No, I like this draft. It's a lot of comfort picks. I still don't know if I'm a huge fan of this Bellona Osiris double pick on the second spot.
Whoa, the Osiris is jungle.
Osiris jungle. maniaKK.
Interesting.
maniaKK was the Osiris last split. He was the first one to really make this god look dominant. So I am a little bit surprised that it isn't him on the Osiris, but I think that Osiris jungle can be very potent. I mean, when Osiris was first released, that's really where he was played the majority of the time.
Andy Andinster brought him out into the jungle at first, and I think a lot of people went, what? And then they went,
Ouch.
Yeah, after Osiris came to town. I will hard disagree with you. I love the Osiris Bellona double pickup. I think on turn 2, I think it has gone down a notch since Death's Toll has been touched, but you know, even with the change, I think that these two are the dominant solo laners. I think that anytime you have to go to a different character, you're kind of taking a step down.
I don't know. I mean, I think Erlong Shen is heavily undervalued right now. That character
is
incredibly potent. There are characters that can compete. Sun Wukong is definitely right there with those guys. Tyr is having some struggles still. You saw it, Dibby play it earlier and had some struggles up against Enix. But I think there are warriors that aren't being played, and that's usually what you see when a set of characters becomes meta. It takes a team having a lot of success in order for other teams to buy that might be a viable option. I wouldn't be surprised come Masters Land if we see another solo laner really rise to prominence.
I'll feel that. I think these Oracle's going to be contested, and nobody gets the vision. Well, one's still alive, and the vision will go the way of Team Dignitas. And EmilZy is the only thing Dig sees. And with one more shot, Zyrhoes puts him in the ground. That's first blood for Team Dignitas.
That's exactly where Obey didn't want to find themselves. EmilZy and Ataraxia trying to find those Oracles when they were only level 2. The dual lane from Dig was level 3. And the mid jungle from Dignitas was on the way. That's not where you want your duo lane to be. EmilZy pays for it.
Yeah, we see this from time to time as CaptainTwig gets extremely aggressive, goes into the enemy jungle for the back camps. No ultimate available, only level 4. 3 players coalesce. Here comes the 4th and Trixtank. CaptainTwig down low, but damage going the other direction. maniaKK confirms a kill. Trixtank takes out Twig, but that's after maniaKK takes out QvoFred. Dignitas find their 2nd kill, and Obey do punish. What was Twig doing at enemy backs?
I think that's just one of those moments where, oh, everyone's on the left? Yeah, I can make it to backs it out in time, but Twig may have forgotten that he didn't have any boots completed yet, that slower movement speed, a little bit more difficult to get away. Luckily, maniaKK comes up big. That bludgeon did almost more than 50% of Qvo's health.
That is, I don't know if people forget about it, but one of these less talked about features of the bludgeon. The more people you hit with that first half of the bludgeon, the harder the swing down hits. When you're grouped up over there, like we saw 4, it was 3 players plus CaptainTwig plus a 3rd, so it was 5 different players that maniaKK comes by and hits with the bludgeon. Oh man, yeah, it's gonna hurt.
It certainly did. So at least Obey get on the board, and you do not want to lose pressure if you're running Osiris Bellona on the right-hand side of the map. You cannot afford to get consistently invaded on that side. Expect Twig to be on time for his speed buff as he was on that first respawn, and probably even on time for the respawn of Dignitas' speed buff, because Nemesis, while not as clear early on as she used to be thanks to the Bluestone pendant in the jungle, still not the best early clear.
So Osiris now should have the escape, being level 5. The ultimate is available. One of the nice things here I want to bring up about Team Dignitas' composition is, I mentioned before, and I still do like the fact, is CaptainTwig again at the enemy back harpies?
Yeah, back harpies are worth so much right now that's the big reason why Qvo's only level 4 and Twig is level 6. Honestly, with Twig dying and maniaKK getting a kill, that was worth it for Obey because Twig got back harpies. They are worth that much. They are closer. I mean, they're worth more than mid camps.
Yeah.
They're not quite as strong as the mid camps of old, but that's a big deal whenever junglers start losing their back harpies.
And you see CaptainTwig, now that he has the ultimate, I'm less sort of, I don't know if offended is the word, but watching him in that back camp at first at level 4 was sort of, what do you do? And now that you have the escape, it's less egregious, I think is the question, is the word. It's just less just daring to be out there, but still very dangerous move coming out from the Obey jungler.
Oh, nice pluck there from EmilZy. Catches the dash from QvoFred. PrettyPriMe gonna miss the ultimate. Qvo in some trouble. Prime misses 2 out of 3 hieroglyphic assaults. No way.
The sprint,
Qvo,
the turnaround.
Oh no, Obey drop the kill. EmilZy shot off that sickening strike a little bit too early. It was blocked by the wall. A lot of missed abilities there. And Obey drop a big kill. That would have been huge for them.
That would have been gigantic.
Qvo's already behind. Another death at this stage would have allowed Twig to invade the back harpies again on the right-hand side. It would have guaranteed fire elementals, and it looks like they'll go Obey's way either way, but this is time that Qvo gets to farm that really he didn't earn.
Yeah, no, this you know what? I'm going to go, I very rarely do, but I'm going to go glass half full on this one. Qvo just, you know, you could look at his missed abilities. He juked his way to safety.
I would agree with. He
was dodging and weaving like that was quality movement. I got to give that to Qvo.
A little bit, sure, as Variety gets ulted on this right-hand side. Variety trying to get away, and Will just barely got enough mana.
6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other, you're thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It was a good juke on the final judgment. I think Prime and EmilZy still dropped that kill more than Qvo escaped.
All right. I guess. Qvo on the Nemesis, however. This is the counteract to going back to our picks and bans conversation. I enjoy the maniaKK CaptainTwig selections, but the instant Nemesis lock-in was that is the perfect way to do word. You're going to go 2 tanks? Awesome. Well, you ain't tanky anymore. This is exactly the response you go. The
perfect pick from Dignitas. I really liked their pick and ban phase, going the Fafnir and the Nemesis to respond. Obey, pretty predictable in the sense that you thought they were going to go for this Nemesis Osiris, but, or excuse me, Bellona Osiris, but I don't think they really care if that's predictable or not. They had to know that Dig was going to be going Nemesis into this, but while that counters these 2 tanky characters in terms of later game team fights and the ultimate, it kind of gets countered by it at the same time.
There's CaptainTwig getting countered. He gets ultimated by the Nemesis, and the Bracer will do the good work. There's a jump up and down, however, to turn things around and rally here. maniaKK involves himself. QvoFred in trouble, but a nice stun on the maniaKK separates him from the enemy jungler. Now maniaKK's the one that's in trouble. Turned around and flipped. Variety gets the kill. EmilZy answers back, taking down the enemy support. So it's a 1-for-1 solo lane for support. In my book, that's better on Team Dignitas' side, 3-2 in total.
But Obey get the speed buff again, so in my book, that means it's in Obey's favor by getting the stuff after the stuff.
Well said. That's an excellent phrase.
You should use it sometime.
Oh man,
I've got a cool idea for a double kill call as well.
Oh, do you?
I do. Do you want to hear it?
Sure.
I couldn't do it.
I might have lost it a little bit. I apologize to the fans at home. Team Dignitas here on the right side of the map.
Your face was just so mad that I couldn't pull it off. I'm sorry. I feel like I missed a real opportunity there.
You really did. You dropped the ball. You screwed the pooch. You did everything wrong. You wound up like... I'm not going to be that rude, but...
It's all right. We'll get them next time.
We?
Yeah.
Variety on this Ravana here. Interesting matchup versus the Bellona. Gotta get myself back into this one. I'm sorry, folks. Bellona's just running this lane. Not something that Variety's particularly used to. Is the Ravana... Honestly, it's been a while since we've seen Ravana in the short lane. Is this the expected matchup versus the Bellona? I don't think so.
But with an Osiris in the jungle for Obey, I would say so, just because of how much farm Mane has gotten off of these invades. Consistently getting the blue buff from Team Dignitas, stripping it away from Variety, and continuing this aggression. maniaKK knows that Variety doesn't have an ultimate.
Oh, the mist!
But he misses the bludgeon.
The bludgeon, that one's going to hurt. And every time you look at those basics underneath the tower, you say, what if that bludgeon hit? Clearly a kill.
Yeah.
That was dropped. Variety lives to see another day. No death yet for the UK solo laner.
I mean, this is a lot of what ifs and almost so far for Obey in this game. Despite the fact that they've dropped 2 kills, still sitting up in gold. Those invades have really come up big, but you got to wonder with how good Team Dignitas' late game composition is this lead enough? Would Obey have gotten a bigger lead if they find those kills and some objectives afterwards? We're going to have to wait and see if this lead is going to carry Obey, because once that Nemesis starts to become relevant with the ultimate and the items, it's going to be difficult for that front line for Obey to really stay relevant.
Exactly. I'm looking at QvoFred. I'm also looking at Arkkyl and Trixtank. This dual lane of the Team Dignitas has been very volatile throughout the course of the split. And when you're looking at Rob, yeah, he's late game and he swings real fast. You just hope he's swinging hard as well. And Trixtank, well, he's going to make Arkkyl swing even faster. So the later this game goes, you look across the way, Ataraxia kind of gets stunted out in comparison to the Ram. And just in general, this Dignitas team is a much later game force than what Obey has to offer sans PrettyPriMe.
Trixtank's heading over to the right-hand side, not here
2-on-1
to defend this speed, but maniaK's in a little bit of trouble, has that ultimate available, and could just be baiting while the rest of Obey makes the rotation.
That's the game plan. 3 players coming through in the clutch. One right through the wall is PrettyPriMe trying to stay safe. Variety underneath the tower, already using his ultimate. Trixtank trying to stay safe, but it's a Hunter duel on the left-hand side. Raxia grabs the Hunter with the root. And a roll away saves the life of Arkkyl. Back to the right side, Variety dealing with CaptainTwig. maniaKK and Variety relatively low.
I want to take a look at these support builds because this has been kind of the talk of the town as of late after Sovereignty and Gauntlet of Thebes both received some nerfs. These are 2 supports who have been around a long time. EmilZy, obviously, a very cerebral player, likes to do the numbers on his builds. No aura items quite yet. Instead, going for this winged blade, whereas Trixtank's going for the more selfish-oriented build with that Hide of the Urchin.
I mean, you say selfish, more selfish on the Urchin. Winged blade is kind of just as selfish, just protecting himself rather than his teammates in lieu of the auras that we were talking about.
I don't disagree with you. Wingblade definitely not going to help out anyone on the side of Obey, except for EmilZy, but in this particular matchup, it fits beautifully because of how many slows Dig has.
CaptainTwig gets stunned. That's even worse than a slow, but now it's Zyrhoes that's trapped out. 3 different players surrounding him. Aegis is good for the moment, but served up by EmilZy. And Raxia gets the kill thanks to his rotation. CaptainTwig finishes what his team started in the right side jungle. 2 separate engagements, 2 separate kills. Team Dignitas on the bad side of that one, losing both players. Rama to the sky.
Looking for Ataraxia. He's very low. Second shot hits. Needs to find the third, but cannot. Just too much traffic there. Arkkyl couldn't even see him, I don't think.
No, it was just too many bodies in the way. I don't know if it was intentionally done by Obey, but well done. Team Dignitas just collapse on EmilZy. He's got a little bit of help with that winged blade, excuse me. Taking a trip backwards, maniaKK in trouble, but not a lot of protections just yet.
Variety playing with fire, going for the Mystic Rush aggressively, and is able to escape. Trixtank did a great job body blocking that shot out of PrettyPriMe. But man, that engagement looked like it was all Obey, and then all of a sudden EmilZy just stays a little bit too long, and Dig find a kill because of it.
Yeah, a little bit rough there. And you know, one thing I do want to preemptively point out is that EmilZy does have movement speed online. I mean, you're looking at boots. Boots level 1 is 6%, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And then the winged blade is going to give you some of that as well. So he is scooting. It's not like he's slower than normal because he's sitting on the level 1 boots. So he does have some of that going for him. Again, EmilZy does like to break down the numbers, so you can kind of trust in that, but not as tanky as he might want. Perhaps leaning on the Sobek passive, but even still.
You do get a lot of protections from that, probably lacking a little bit in terms of HP, but that Winged Blade is going to help out in that regard, so he's actually got more HP than Trixtank does. Trixtank just has a lot of protections between that Hide of the Urchin, even only a 1 stack, and his passive. He's going to be relying on his protection pool more so than his health pool.
Yeah, and I think I like that a little bit better. EmilZy getting himself into trouble as well here in the jungle, stunned out, and Trixtank dealing.
I mean, I don't mind it because QvoFred's going to be taking protections away from EmilZy no matter what he's building anyways, right? That Nemesis ultimate strips those away. Also strips away percent HP, but obviously you want to be building HP against abilities like that because you'll have more left over once Nemesis takes that from you.
Winged Blade for me is an item that allows you to escape the slows, and Variety and QvoFred certainly have a ton of slows, not even thinking about Trixtank and Arkkyl. There's a lot of threat to the Sobek to get slowed, and the Winged Blade will help out against that. But I feel like if you're just getting crushed, it doesn't matter if you can escape or not, you're going to get crushed anyway. I would like to see some survivability and then the escape option.
I mean, I don't mind it just because supports are usually the focus early game, so it gets them out of those Nemesis ults early.
It's also very inexpensive, so
true.
That might be the thought process there. In fact, I think that is the thought process. I mean, he could build that Winged Blade before he could build virtually anything else, and it being so inexpensive is probably what allows EmilZy to pick that up. Nice zoning by CaptainTwig here. Nobody's going to be able to get this Gold Fury. Well, just a very well-crafted objective secure by Obey Alliance. Just very, and I intentionally make that call very calm, because that was a very calm objective, and I like that.
Oh, a well-played objective by Obey, but poorly timed backs out of Dignitas opens that door for Obey to get a Gold Fury that easily. Arkkyl was walking back from base. Zyrhoes walking back from base. QvoFred was starting to back. So there's just too many people off the map at one time. only Trixtank there, and you saw exactly what CaptainTwig's able to do to him, handles that support fairly easily and allows Obey to get the easy goal.
And at the same time, I mean, Dignitas's poor backing, that's why Obey makes that call.
Yes.
They see that they see that the enemy's missing, and that's what allows them to very casually pick up that Gold Fury and very casually start off with about a 4,000 gold lead here. I mean, this is very sort of surprise that Obey is up this. If you've just been casually watching the game, you see it's 4-4, blah, blah, blah. This seems like a tie game, but Obey very much in the lead.
Mostly because of the invades on the right-hand side. Qvo just hit level 12. CaptainTwig, he's sitting at level 14. Even PrettyPriMe is getting a lot of farm by proxy. He's there to help those invades. Just good farming by Obey, and I was wondering what the meta was kind of going to develop into with the game slowing down a little bit, with objectives being worth a little bit less, so we weren't seeing nearly as much snowball, and it's pretty clear to me that EU is focused on shutting down junglers. That's been the primary objective. If you pick a late game jungler, then you need to have an early game soul laner or something like that to help you. Dignitas tried to do that, but the Morrigan just has such struggles fighting early on that it's been a difficult task for Dignitas to defend this speed buff.
Well, Trixtank here as EmilZy gets a little bit aggressive, looking one more time to invade the speed buff. maniaKK, CaptainTwig, EmilZy all here with Prime right across through the wall. Trixtank getting flipped out, jumps to the back. There's going to be the retreat coming out from Qvo. The up down from maniaKK. Not a good ultimate there from the Bellona, but a better one coming out of EmilZy, trying to zone two different battles, one by the Fire Giant and one in the mid lane.
maniaKK is pretty low in that mid lane without any ultimate, but Variety's going to find Prime just as that ultimate gets fired off. Dignitas with the first kill in this engagement. Now it's Zyrhoes trying to run away. Twig's looking for him, but they lost him. Zyrhoes might be able to get out here.
Zyrhoes runs directly into maniaKK, realizes that's a bad spot. maniaKK puts him down. Now it's Arkkyl versus the world. Twiggy picks up Arkkyl, and that's going to be 3 dead on the side of Team Dignitas. Obey just lose 1, and that guy's going to be PrettyPriMe. Obey continuing their push forward, taking down the Portal Demon, and they're still leading this time by about 6,000, 5.5.
Trix transforms. His jump is down, has the jump now that he's in that draconic form, but here comes maniaKK through the portal. Trix is all alone here, now going to de-transform to give himself a second jump. Beautiful stun onto EmilZy to prevent the pluck from coming through.
And he's out!
PrettyPriMe makes sure that he's not out. One shot will do it. Trix, I just don't understand the thought process there from the initial transformation.
Yeah, kind of odd.
Just not the play. That was not the call.
Frustration coming through?
No, I think it's just that he thinks, okay, CaptainTwig is low. He reads the name potentially on the jungler and thinks, assassin, can kill, very low, am Fafnir. And then he realizes that it's a level 16 Osiris that has massive immune and wing blade, and he's like, oh, I messed up, and tries to escape, but at that point, there's just too much CC for Obey.
It's going to be the jump in from maniaKK, looking for Zyrhoes, who finds an exit down south. 3 players still with PrettyPriMe hanging out in the wing. And Dignitas has to be careful underneath their tier 2 tower here. It's still relatively early to see a tier 2 tower siege. 18 minutes, it's reasonable, but kind of surprising. Obey is off to a tear in this one.
EmilZy eats the Nemesis ultimate, but it's taking no additional damage. The damage is really onto the side of Dignitas as Zyrhoes falls to Ataraxia. Arkkyl comes crashing down. It is immediately met by Ataraxia.
Oh, 2 players just chewed up in the middle lane. You saw them just waiting to die. Arkkyl falls down right next to Zyrhoes. Arkkyl level 16, the only one that can maybe put up a fight here against Obey, in my opinion. 19 on the clock. Dig, pull the trigger.
I mean, Dignitas' first seed already. I don't think that there's a whole lot to be worried about there as Team Dignitas. And on the other hand, how much confidence do you really want to give Obey moving into this lane where you could very easily face them in the later rounds? I don't have a lot of problem with that in that scenario.
Yeah, I was less offended and more just surprised.
Sure.
Like walking off here. I'll see you guys later. But no, I was just very, where did that come from? I mean, then you look at the scoreboard, they're down 8,000 gold in 19 minutes against the, I don't know. I get it. It just, I was a little bit surprised. The game was that was a very calm game.
It was calculated all over the place. And like we mentioned, Obey dropped some kills. It obviously ends up not mattering too much, but Obey definitely came in with a definite game plan, and they knew what Dignitas was going to pick whenever they locked in that double warrior.
Yeah.
And like I mentioned, yes, it counters, Nemesis counters those warriors in the later stages, but in the early game, that's just invade city on that right-hand side, and Dignitas just didn't have the draft to really combat that coming out of Obey.
Yeah, really.